Hello and welcome back to Invincible Asia. I'm George Clark and today I get to check out two Golden Harvest Bruce Lee documentaries, Bruce Lee the Man the Legend and Bruce Lee the Legend, released on Blu-ray by Arrow Video. Don't forget folks, before we go any further, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, like the video and all that jibber jabber, and thank you very much for supporting Invincible Asia. So I finally made it to the last disc in the Golden Harvest Bruce Lee box set released by Arrow Video. My God, it has been one hell of a week. I can't say that I'm bored of Bruce Lee by any means. If anything, I'm looking forward to going back and relaxing with some viewing pleasure of these movies. Of course, I've been watching them through to be able to review for you, jumping into a lot of extras there, but I will take time to go back and enjoy these for myself. The final disc, of course, comes as a set of two documentaries here. The last piece of gorgeous Tom Ralston artwork, as you can see, and this is two official Golden Harvest documentaries, one made in the early to mid 70s, just after Bruce Lee's death there, and the second one made in the early 80s, which I kind of preferred a wee bit more, but we're going to get into that. But I mean, both are fantastic to see, and both again restored in HD, not 2K or 4K as such, but restored in high definition, which is pretty cool, because we haven't really had that option before of enjoying them as good as they are here. Anyway, the first one, okay. Let me just take a deep breath because there's a lot to talk about here. But it's cool. There's not a lot on the disc, but I'll just go through the documentaries with you, just kind of so you get a rough idea until you get your hands on your own. So the first one, Bruce Lee, the Man, the Legend. So this one runs for just over 85 minutes in length, fully narrated of course, and it opens with footage of the funeral, Bruce Lee's funeral, where we see the likes of Linda Lee and Raymond Chow, as well as other stars such as Lo Wei, the director, Sammo Hung, Nora Miao, Shek Ken, and many others, including little Brandon and Shanna Lee, who are manhandled by many other people just to make sure that they show the correct respect at a Chinese funeral. The film then goes on to follow the Lee family's move to Seattle, of course, where they then took Bruce's body back to be buried there. And then it goes on to tell the story of Bruce Lee from birth to child actor, then his intro to Wing Chun and Kung Fu in general, and then on to his start with Golden Harvest and onwards from there, of course. I mean, it's a fun doco. It definitely keeps you interested, and I say that HD restoration kind of works. It kind of makes it a much more enjoyable experience. I think if you were to see this again on 4:3 cropped video, it would look very, very rough in comparison, but this HD restoration really does a job. Now, confusedly so, there is the second documentary, which is known as Bruce Lee the Legend. This is one that I remember seeing it many, many years ago. In fact, it's number 6 of the 6 releases on the Rank Home video collection that I showed you in my initial unboxing of the box set here. But I don't have it at the moment. It's one that I keep seeing it popping up on eBay. People are just asking too much for, but I would like to get my hands on it. So I haven't seen it for probably over 30 years. So here, to be able to see it fully restored in HD was an absolute treat. Now the fun part for this, and the fun part for me, was that it opens with some scenes from Choi Hark's Zoo Warriors from Magic Mountain, which of course has Sammo Hung and Yuen Biao in there, and it was a Golden Harvest production, so they were able, of course, to pull that in and use that footage. This really is about talking about how for decades the mystic martial arts have been such a big thing, and the Kung Fu is a wonderful thing, and here's our next hero, and then of course then leads into Bruce Lee and goes into his story from there on in. But I mean, yeah, much like the previous doco, just goes on to follow his life from childhood roles into superstardom, including his introduction to Wing Chun, which of course then it goes on to use clips from Sammo Hung's Warriors 2, which is always a treat to see. Uses the footage of Lung Gar-yan teaching Casanova Wong how to catch that leaf when he drops that leaf. Of course, Casanova Wong appears in the greenhouse fight in Game of Death and Game of Death 2, whichever versions you are watching there. So there's quite an interesting link between it all, but it just kind of brings a wee bit of something else into this documentary, which I found to be quite interesting. I mean, I do love this doco. It's definitely a lot tidier than The Man and the Legend, and then it goes on to show a great selection of old photos and film, along with footage from Golden Harvest featuring Raymond Chow himself and Andre Morgan, both on set and at work, and then some interviews with Raymond Chow himself, which was pretty cool to see. And there's also a great interview throughout here. It's kind of broken down and cut up with Nora Miao. Really loved that. That was a pretty cool moment to hear her words. Yeah, so then there's also, oh my goodness, one of my favourite moments. There's some great shots from that unmade costume drama that Bruce Lee had in mind to do. Very Shaw Brothers in style, some inspiration from Satoichi, you know, a lot of big weapons and sort of like taking on the appearance of classic folk heroes. Kind of talks about it with clips from Ching Soo-dung's Duel to the Death. I mean, to imagine what that movie could have been with Bruce Lee in that role fucking excites me to no end. And it's actually, I would have been more excited to see that movie as much as I would have been to see a completed Game of Death, because I just think he looked friggin' awesome with those studded armbands, that big sort of fur waistcoat that he's wearing there, and all those wonderful weapons, because Bruce never really did kind of go down. He didn't have the chance to make a movie set in that period, and I think he would have been feckin' phenomenal. And the photos that leave this, just these thoughts and imagination of what could have been, they're some of the most fascinating parts of this man's story that have always intrigued me. I'd love to have seen where it would have went. If someone could perhaps find his original ideas for that and make a movie about that, that would be a friggin' cool project. Oh my god, absolutely. Anyway, so it actually goes on to show some of the lost scenes from Game of Death, that of course we can see restored now on the final Game of Death disc. So a lot of those behind the scenes shots that have wowed us in the final Game of Death that comes in this box set. And then you've got the final chapters that look at his death. This funeral, Sammo Hung's direction on Game of Death, along with Yuen Biao. And then of course it kind of like fizzles out there with many of the fight scenes from the film. And going on in to Enter the Dragon then from there. So the doco interestingly closes with Jackie Chan in a fight scene from Winters and Sinners. Of course, Golden Harvest promoting their next big star, which was nice to see. I really enjoyed that being included. And of course, it's always fun to see a clip from Winters and Sinners of Jackie in action. Really adored that, of course. But it doesn't take away from Bruce Lee by any means. And it is absolutely still one of the most enjoyable Bruce Lee documentaries I have seen, and I still think one of the most enjoyable that is out there. That runs at 89 minutes, and then it also comes, on this disc, also comes an alternate version of Bruce Lee the Legend, with some different footage in there, but obviously quite a bit taken out because it runs for around 83 minutes. It's not restored though, and presented in 4:3 HD SD. Probably a good thing to go and check that out first before you get stuck into the restored version, because then you can see the work put into it and actually be wowed of how clean this looks. I feel today we're so spoiled with what's released here from these boutique labels that we forget that they're the old crap that we were watching and the old picture quality, because we're so used to seeing them. And even some people aren't pleased with that. Let's be honest. There's a lot of people complaining that this isn't right and the colour isn't right and this isn't right. I mean, when you put that side by side to how it looked 30 years ago, it'll blow your mind. It just looks incredible. Anyway, extra features on here. You've got a 7-minute tour of the Golden Harvest studio, which was kind of cool to see. I was kind of expecting a lot more. It's from the early 1990s, and there's not a lot to it, but it still looks the part. And it was, yeah, it's just a pretty cool extra, especially if you're a fan of the Golden Harvest films. There's alternate opening for Enter the Dragon, for the Hong Kong release of Enter the Dragon, which was animated much like his earlier films had animated title cards. Big Boss Fist of Fury, Way of the Dragon. So it's done in the same kind of style. It was pretty cool to see. I liked it. It was nice wee change. And then of course you've got trailers on there for both documentaries and a brief image gallery showing you posters and shots from each of the same docos that are included on here. So that's pretty much it. That is the whole Bruce Lee at Golden Harvest box set wrapped up. I'm pretty exhausted, but I have to admit, this has been an absolute journey and a half, and friggin' amazing to sit down and get stuck into Bruce Lee like I have never been able to do before. It just blows everything else out of the water, and I have to say this is probably, if not definitely, my favorite release of 2023 so far. It's been incredible, and if I can get the funds up, I will buy the Tony Stellar box set, because I would love to have both as a collector, but I would also just want to be able to share that artwork with you as well. For those of you that don't have the Tony Stellar artwork, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there already doing it, of course. I just think it would be fun to put these side by side and have a Tony one and a Tom one. Regardless though, phenomenal box set. I may take some time and do a video with you to slowly go through the book and the lobby cards. I don't know, let me know your thoughts on that. But as for now, it's been a wonderful week of Bruce Lee. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting Invincible Asia. And until next time, enjoy your Kung Fu. So thank you once again for watching another video here on Invincible Asia. Don't forget you can check out hundreds of others here on the channel. You can also show your continued support by heading over to my new merch store, or by checking out invincibleasia.com, where you can read my full movie reviews, and follow me on Instagram at Invincible Asia. Until next time though, enjoy your Kung Fu, and I will see you soon.